A 17-point buffer would seem like an incredible safety net for most heading into the final round. But our drivers must wrap things up at one of the most punishing circuits on iRacing. The track at Detroit's Belle Isle is notorious for claiming any victim it pleases at any time. A glimmer of hope remains for David to take another championship, and we'll see if he can pull it off as we get ready to watch round 10 of the PRL GT4 Clubsport Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ossian Huhaka. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The reputation of this circuit has quickly grown here on iRacing, but fans of racing outside of the North American road scene might not know it as well. Let's head down to our track guide to see what it's all about. Welcome to the Belle Isle Street Circuit. Situated in a beautiful park on Belle Isle itself, it rests in the Detroit River, sandwiched between the Motor City and Canada. With it being in the far north of the Midwestern United States, as you'd expect, harsh winters make this a bone-jarringly bumpy track. It's most known for IndyCar's yearly visit, but has also seen IMSA hold rounds here lately. The 14 narrow corners only add up to a mere 2.3 miles in length, but it can tend to feel like a lot more just from the sheer stress of keeping your car out of the walls. Runoff is non-existent in the majority of corners, so mistakes tend to be punished with race-ending damage. The dangers include the tight and twisty fountain section with its rapid-fire set of bends, and the frightening turns 12 and 13, which end the lap with two swift kinks. However, the most notorious spot on the track is the exit of Turn 2, made famous by collecting the Corvette pace car into its hungry walls one year. The first two turns are a quick chicane, so the extreme change of direction, plus the rise in the track as it crosses over a creek, means grip and balance can disappear in an instant. While the setup of the car can sometimes help lessen the annoyance of the bumps a little, what this place all comes down to is driver skill and daring. Precision will pay off with the close proximity of the barriers. While it isn't a stroll in the park for drivers, fans get to enjoy the beauty of the scenery all while watching some of the most thrilling racing an American street course has to offer. There you see a little bit about Circuit Belle Isle here. And, well, Ozzy, we've had IndyCar, we've had IMSA, we've had Grand Am. So these sports cars should actually feel pretty at home, I'd say.
Yeah, Joe, I would agree with you. We had spinning pace cars and we had a whole lot of different vehicles here between the walls at Detroit. This is, of course, the one of the many street courses built over the years at the Motown, but this is the most famous one currently. Walls are pretty close. It is pretty treacherous. Got a couple of high-speed corners, got a couple of high curbs, a very technical challenge, and very important to keep it off the wall. I know that's obvious, but it comes more to life than ever in these bumpy, fast places. 2.35 miles, and that's 3.8 kilometers, 14 turns, and look out for a night that is worth the title of a season finale.
Should be exciting to see how this all wraps up. A big question mark hangs over everyone, including our two championship rivals. But the GT4 Clubsport Series is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Today's broadcast is also brought to you by SimRacing Canada. Pay less, get more with SimRacing Canada's custom aluminum rig build for everyone, from the starters to the pros. Your vision, our solution. Find out more at SimRacingCanada.com. Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Now, that championship, we talked a little bit about it in the intro. Let's take a look at the driver's standings here. 17 points between Diego Morales and James David. They are essentially our two rivals fighting for it. Palacio has a far outside chance of taking it, but if we're honest, our focus really isn't on him. It's been mainly between Morales and David to settle things out, and we'll go over the permutations of how they could potentially work that out a little later on. 52 points back, Byron Daly. He's mathematically out of it. Same thing with our winner from last round, Arnaud Genet, who is 70 points back. Now, we have a team's championship, and that is equally as important to these guys here, Ozzy.
It is. It's always a point of pride, and for some people, it's even more important, especially for those who are not in the hunt for the Drivers' Championship, because that's the one they'll be focusing on as a team, as a unit, and as winners, hopefully. And it's pretty close up there, too. Davidson Motorsports Porsche still leading that with 441 points, but only 11 points behind is SRT eSport Blue. With 430 in total. Then in a distant P number 3, it's SRM Green, 342.99 behind the lead, NinjaTrader Ford, and We Racing rounding out your top 5 in the team's championship.
Let's take a look at the race details for this finale. There are two different makes of cars that drivers were able to choose at the start of the season, the Porsche Cayman and the BMW M4, both GT4 class cars. They have 45 minutes that they will be running out there to try and take the checkered flag. It is an open setup series, so they're going to be trying to find every little bit of speed. I imagine the springs are going to be worked quite a lot around here to figure out what is ideal to get good handling over these bumps. They also have some penalty points, well, not penalty points, but penalties handed out if you get too many incidents. Unlikely to see those here. Bonus points, on the other hand, will play a part potentially in this championship fight. That's how you can earn them down there at the bottom. And we are going to be keeping eyes on that as much as we can, but we won't know who has the fastest lap or who has less than 3 incident points until we get to the end. Right now, they're working on the qualifying, and that is one bonus point that could be grabbed before they even get to the green flag here today. Let's give a green flag on advertising with us as well here on GSRC, because we offer a wealth of options to help you get your branding seen on a platform with over 1 million monthly impressions. If your organization is looking for a global audience to advertise with, look no further than GSRC. Follow the link in the description below to learn more. Right now, out in qualifying, it is James David who is up at the top. Interestingly, he has fewer poles than what Diego Morales has. So that's bonus points that he's given away. He's going to try and see if he can get one of those bonus points away. And right now, he has half a second over Diego Morales. So he's doing quite nicely in that round.
He is, and at Detroit, it's really important to get that pole position because overtaking opportunities are few and far between. So qualifying extra important here. And James David, he has a mountain to climb after holding on to the championship lead early on. If he wants to beat Diego Morales out there today, and certainly starting from pole position would be a right start to his campaign. Of course, it's not under his control exactly, Joe.
That's right. So the basic and simplest way to think of this is if he takes max points, if James David is able to get all the bonuses and Diego does not, then essentially Diego has to finish 9th or better. Because if he finishes 10th and David gets all the bonus points and wins the race, then David would win with a tie since he would have more wins than Diego. They're both tied on 3 wins right now. But like you said, it's looking like it is going to be extra tough for James to try and do something here. All Diego really has to do is finish with a top 10 today, and he likely has the championship wrapped up, considering, let's see how many he's racked up in these 9 rounds so far. Oh, we only have top 5s, but just to give you an idea, 7 top 5s for Diego Morales so far out of 9 rounds. So the odds are very much against James David.
They are, but Detroit is the kind of circuit, well, racing in general is the kind of sport which doesn't care much about odds. We care about odds, the viewers care about odds, and some drivers care about odds, but the race, motorsport doesn't care about odds. Motorsport only cares about you finishing, and the races are not ran on paper. they are run on track. And Detroit, especially with these balls, just one hit, and then you're gonna be like out of it basically. Especially with how easily these cars take damage. So it's certainly possible for Diego to go a little bit wide and make that mistake. I don't think it's gonna happen. He's been so consistent and so fast this season that I don't think he's gonna push himself right to the limit. But it's gonna be one of those things that's gonna really play a key role today. And another thing that's gonna play a key role today, of course, we are gonna crown a new champion, and we're gonna be celebrating that. But we are going to be also celebrating 4 seasons of equally important job to winning.
Yep, somebody's got to run this thing, and Mark File has for quite a while been the main person helping run the GT4 Clubsport series. Now, he unfortunately has had to put pause on that and take care of other things in his life, so he's going to step away. We're going to give a big thank you to Mark File for all that he's done, and he's essentially handing over the reins to one of his helpers for many of these seasons, Kenny Rodriguez in the 969, who already helps organize many of the other series here in the PRL. So it's going to be in great hands. But again, a tip of the hat to Mark File for everything he's done to allow all these drivers to have fun, because it's definitely not as fun having to do all the behind the scenes sometimes, and it's a bit of a thankless job. This is Raymond Day on screen sitting in fourth. Ahead of him, remember we were talking about Julio Palacio. This is becoming just too much of a familiar spot for him. He's in third yet again.
Yeah, he's gonna be getting real tired of those bronze medals in this series, and he's been having a bit of a laugh about it himself. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And once again, Palacio, he's sitting in P3 at the qualifying, but that's just, you may not be able to beat those two guys on the lead, but he's once again beating 20 other guys. So there is a positive way to think about it, and Palacio certainly getting closer and closer. He's just 1.5 tenths behind Morales right now, who, by the way, isn't looking as hot out here today as he's been looking before, as saying he's still 4 tenths of a second behind James David. So I'd be very curious to see if Morales can improve here at least a little bit.
He crosses the line. He does improve. It's a 35.6, but it's still 2/100ths off of James David right now. He's got a couple laps that he can try and get back around and see if he can take that bonus point away from David, make life even harder. But I guess, so my question to you here is, because you often talk about the ethics, well, not the ethics, but the merits, I should say, of going 100%, 99% out there. If you're Diego Morales, Ozzy, do you just leave a little bit on the table today with how punishing this track is, just to bring the car home, leave it safe, and not worry so much about getting out there and taking the win?
Well, it's a important question and a good question, Joe, because in the mind of a racing driver, you have the racing driver who is sitting on the pit lane, sitting on the paddock, giving comments and making strategies. And that racing driver, that Diego Morales, is certainly going to be thinking, okay, I'm not going to exceed 98% today. I'm just going to leave a little bit of a gap to the wall. I'm not going to take any unnecessary chances. I'm not going to defend a position needlessly, because he knows that he has the pace to finish top 3 and easily in the top 5, even if he doesn't take any chances during a race. But then you also have a racing driver who is putting the helmet on, puts the visor down, and starts racing. And that's a whole different beast. That is a whole different beast. And there are things also that are outside of Diego's control. Or the drivers. You're going to have somebody spinning right in front of him. He can take a lot of damage. He can get punted out by somebody else. I mean, let's hope that doesn't happen, but it's always a possibility, especially in such tight confinements.
And he's not going to elect to try for the pole. He parked it, and there's not enough time to start another lap. You can see just about 30 seconds left here as we're watching Brian Matthews down in 21st. We got 24 drivers out here today, except it looks like we're only going to get 22 starting, because I do not see Hotham or Bowen in the session currently. They're going to have to get back in very quickly if they want to take to the grid, which is going to be set very, very soon. About 10 seconds left. Is Cristelli going to be able to start a new lap? Lowendick's going to follow him across here. No, Cristelli won't, because he's heading into pit lane. 3, 2, 1. Lowendick runs out of time, so he takes the checkered flag, and that last lap, not quicker, so he stays in P8. Next one across the line, not going to be Brett Barrett because he pits as well. We got a string of cars, including Margula, who decides to slow, so he doesn't care about this last lap. Mignon passes him, and so does Kenny Rodriguez.
Yeah, a couple of other guys still out there on their last laps. Actually, one guy left his mirror even on the last corner. That's James David, leaving a bit of a memoir there, perhaps, for the spectators. Let's see if he improves on the last lap. He does improve, so finds a little bit of time there on the last lap for James David, maybe putting a little bit of an exclamation mark for his great performance. Let's see what Baron Daly can do. He's currently sitting 7th, and he does not improve.
Some insurance, if you will, because Palacio and Day are out, but Janae is just coming to the line. The 312 doesn't go quicker. That 36.5 is going to keep him in 5th place. Who else do we have wrapping up here? This is Brian Matthews, who does not go quicker. I think James Nunn going to be the last one because we saw Lowendick take the checkered flag. So he swings it around. He's missing a little bit of a wing mirror himself. He's just adding lightness. I'm trying to remember who it was that coined that phrase, but I always love that.
Colin Chapman.
Ah, there you go. So James Nunn. Oh, James Nunn up to 12th on the last try, despite missing a little bit of the car. So that's going to be it for our qualifying in the last round of Season 3 for the PRL GT4 Clubsport Series. James David takes the bonus point for pole. That's the first step for him to try and get this championship back away from Morales, who starts next to him in 2nd. Julio Palacio into his almost traditional 3rd place, starting behind them to his outside. It'll be Raymond Day. Arnaud Genet starts row 3, and Jean-Marc Tremblay will be starting in 6th. Byron Daly will be 7th, and Ted Lowendick in 8th. Brett Barrett will start on the inside of row 5. He is 9th, and David Cristelli rounds out your top 10.
And 11th will be Mark File, bidding farewell to the organization duties in this series. So he's gonna be a man to watch out for. Certainly not gonna wither, not go quietly into the night. Is gonna be this man. James Nunn in 12th place, Piotr Margula 13th, Kenny Rodriguez 14th, Philip Magnan 16th, Aaron Lay 16th, yeah, Magnan 15th, Lay 16th, Semkovic 17th, Richards 18th, Podem 19th, and he's gonna be actually starting this race, and Christopher Richards rounding out your top 20 with Cochrane, Matthews, Bellavance, and Schilling rounding out your 23 driver field. Glenn Bowen will not be starting this event.
One less car is probably a little bit of a relief for James David, just since that, even though that means that his rival can finish higher, that's one less car to have to deal with around here. 45 minutes, I anticipate we'll probably still see traffic, which is going to be its own issue, I imagine, towards the end of the race.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's well, these drivers know pretty well how to get out of the way and how to handle traffic by now, and there's gonna be some experienced drivers even among the backmarkers, but it's never easy if you get traffic on a bad spot, like if you get traffic around the fountain, for example, where you just don't have enough room to pass, enough room to let somebody by, and you have a tight battle coming up behind you. You suddenly have a situation where you have drivers in the heat of a battle having to do some traffic management. So it's never easy, especially in a single class race where you don't necessarily come to expect it.
All right, waiting for the Porsche pace car to take off. I believe just a couple more that need to put themselves on the grid, and then they will get the go-ahead. It's not a full pace lap around here, so they won't have time to heat up the tires much at all. In fact, the temperatures out here are pretty low. It's late in the day, just past 7 p.m. virtual standard time, and 72 degrees Fahrenheit currently here in Detroit. I'm sure that a lot of people probably out in the Midwest wish it felt that good. 22 degrees Celsius for those wondering out on the metric system.
Which is about 95% of the world.
This is, for what it's worth, it is a North American series, but I'm glad we did include the Celsius because it's also a mostly Canadian series here. So them doing metric over there, that is hopeful, I'm sure, to many of the drivers, fans, and friends as they now take off behind the Porsche pace car. Waiting for him to pull in. James David has control of the field. They're trying to catch up at the back of him. They might get a little stacked up. Green flag is out. He takes off a little bit early, and Morales is caught out behind him, almost 3 wide, back to 4th place for a moment as Raymond Day is going to take advantage of that. Genet has to back out of it as Tremblay gets through there. Now off of the tricky turn 2 on cold tires. Can everybody get through without spinning it off like the Corvette? It looks good so far in the background, and I think we are safe.
We are safe indeed. Everybody through, even all the way to the back, Joe.
And then there's also the danger down into turn 3. Everybody trying to get positions into one of the best places to pass, but it is actually very polite into there. I'm not really seeing much in the way of craziness.
No, not at all. Drivers having a little bit of too wide, but then realizing that, yeah, we don't want to mess this up in lap number 1, because not only is it a 45-minute race, but you're going to do a lot of laps because it is a short lap around here. It's going to be only 1.5 minutes with these cars. And that means you're going to get plenty of opportunities to get by somebody, and you're going to get plenty of chances to mess it up. So better not do it on lap 1.
Already on the backstretch along the river, everybody is single file. A few tries in there. It looks like Cristelli being attacked by Lowendick, but that doesn't quite work out. Down into the fountain section. They definitely want to go single file through here as the track gets so slow and narrow.
Yeah, it's one of the trickiest sectors on the track. And then the right-hander that leads back to the last corner, it's so tight, and the wall kind of comes out. It's very, very narrow. So it's one of those places where you just don't want to take any unnecessary risks, and you don't want to force it down the inside or end up on the outside. You just want to take it single file and hope you don't make a mistake. And that's going to be the rule of the day. Don't make a mistake and just, drive your own pace and see what happens.
Well, you said it earlier that David, even though he is racing at his own pace, and right now that has him up at the top spot, the championship is not in his control necessarily. Morales still in second as they come down here through lap 2 into turn 3. They continue to be chased by Palacio. Back behind them, Barrett's been in a lot of battles these first early laps. Cristelli, I think, able to get by him, and that's up into 8th place, a whole train behind them as well.
Yeah, and whoa, that's a later than for Barrett. He's just braking a little bit later, and the Porsche, you can brake later with the Porsche, remember, but it's very difficult to overtake the BMW, which is faster on a straight line. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic between those guys. And Lowendick as well, let's not forget him. He's going to get a chance here on the back straight, gonna maybe send it down to the inside. No, he's going to stay behind for now with Mark Fowle, James Nunn, and Rodriguez and everybody else stacked up behind them. So all those battles, that means that those guys are steadily losing ground to Daly, Tremblay, and Genet in front of them.
Tell you what, there's going to be some flea market here in Detroit that is just going to have an influx of BMW and Porsche mirrors, because I keep seeing them fall off. All the cars are taking it right to the edge of the track, and at times they'll pop back on. That's just the nature, unfortunately, of racing on the internet. That's why you're seeing them fall off and then cars have them again. But it does make me wonder if it legitimately is off the car. If you're racing in VR, does that mean you can't quite see as well out of one side?
It can, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's an effect because it's a physical mirror that's on the car, and it really can fall off, and that means if you have no mirror there, you can't really see. So that's gonna be one thing that's gonna be talked about in this race, but thankfully, even without the wing mirrors, you have the rear view mirror, which is a big advantage, and it means that you can at least somewhat see behind you. And then again, well, if you don't have wing mirrors, good thing about it, the silver lining, is not only the saved weight, but also the fact that you won't be so easily pressured by a driver behind.
Tear it off and throw it to the side. The leaders are starting to get a little way from each other. So we were watching the battle between Lowendick and Barrett in the mid-pack, but now we've returned to David and Morales, who are 1.1 seconds apart. Palacio's keeping it within 7/10, so he's a little bit closer. But how about this in 4th? Raymond Day also not dropping off of that top group. We're going to ride on board with him here, and this will give us a perfect idea of just how narrow it is as he misses a bit of an apex there.
Yeah, and those apexes, it's kind of interesting how the drivers miss it on the inside, but you understand it when you see the height of those curves. I've talked a lot in the previous broadcasts about how you don't want to cut those curves too far to the inside because that's actually slowing you down. And if you hit those, you're going to be sent a little bit wide. Oh, and behind them we have Daly and Tremblay going side by side into one pair for the sixth place. Daly is going to be up to the inside and gonna get passed as well. Tremblay is gonna be relegated to seventh for the moment. So a little bit of battles going on there as well.
A nice move from the number 6 car. A little bit harder to try and make those passes down into turn 1. You can see them kind of spreading out. That was once again Barrett and Lowendick trying to size each other up down into turn 3, but Ted is going to keep P9 at least for this lap around.
He got it.
Oh.
He got it. Yeah. He passed Brett Barrett into the second straight and went past him. So we were talking earlier on about these cars and how the BMW is a little bit faster on a straight line, and I think we're going to see a replay of that move as well coming up right now, Joe. And well, that's going to be one of those BMW moves, really.
Wow, he squared off turn 2 a lot and just powered down. No answer for Brett Barrett. Just couldn't do anything to keep that one from happening. So very heads up driving from Teddy to get himself one more spot up. Now, as that was happening, Palacio had gotten down to 0.5 of a second, half a second behind Diego Morales. Again, this is not dire for Diego. If anything, I have a feeling he's probably more concerned about getting in a battle with Palacio than he is actually losing the spot.
Yeah, but Palacio, he's been a very stable driver and he's been a very gentlemanly of a driver. Doesn't do stupid things, so to speak. So I don't think he's gonna be a driver Morales is gonna have to be afraid of. But of course, when you get into a bit of a tussle, then you always run into the risk of inadvertently running into somebody. As we receive news, Joe, I believe that Schilling has wrecked in the back.
That's just exiting the fountain section. I think it's a single car incident. Looks like he just overspun the tires and found the wall with it. So the number 17 is down to 22nd. Not quite our first victim, but certainly one of the first ones we've seen actually clatter the wall with any force. If we could go to P7, though, we were watching Daly and Tremblay earlier. Well, Tremblay continued to be under pressure from behind because now it's Cristelli. As they come onto the backstretch, here we now ride on board with Tremblay, looking behind. They run along the river, and then it's hard braking down into turn 7. Very blind entry into the corner with the walls on either side, and not quite close enough for the 009 to be able to attack.
No, but by the looks of his lines, he didn't cut too much entering there. Tremblay cut a little bit more, and I must say, so far, the way he's like running right up close to Tremblay, those lines cannot be crystal clear for him. But maybe later on, he's gonna find the overtaking opportunity. Of course, that's not a Porsche ahead of him, so he doesn't have the straight line speed advantage. But heading onto the main straight, I'm looking at Cristelli, and he's doing a very good pace. Tremblay is losing a lot of ground to Daly, and Tremblay is not quite finding the line, not quite finding his rhythm and confidence, which are all that you need to succeed on a street circuit. Well, not all you need, but very important to succeeding in a street circuit.
I think a little skill probably needed in there for sure. Tremblay was awful wide coming into 12, and that's what I was making a noise about. Surprised that Cristelli didn't close up more. Now, up at the top of the screen, our viewers who are interested in that bonus point as Cristelli breaks very deep into turn 3, but still can't try and overtake Jean-Marc. But David and Morales have been swapping the fastest lap back and forth. And again, that is important if it comes down to where Morales finishes in this race. Right now, it doesn't, but David needs as many bonus points as he can get.
Yeah, he does, and he needs to hope that, you know, he can get that bonus point. He already got the one for pole position, and the thing is that getting that one bonus point for 3 incidents or less is gonna be easier here at Detroit than it's gonna be somewhere else, because you don't have many opportunities to go off track when off track is essentially either a man-high curb or a wall.
Yeah, there actually is some grass where you can pick up those 1X incidents. It's, if anything, more the clattering the wall that can rack them up quicker. As we take a look at Morales now, about a second and a half behind. Continue to drop off of David. This next time by, not quicker for James. And same deal with Morales. But I believe Diego is still the one that holds on to that fastest lap currently. We had a problem with Cochran in the fountains section. This is the number 711 car. Trying to see if he had any sort of contact with the wall.
No, he just went shopping.
So let's take a look at this, because this is actually a pretty good save in what could have gone south very quickly. He lost some positions in the process, but considering there's pretty much zero runoff all around the fountain section, John did a good job collecting the car before he found himself getting damage. Oh, a bump, it looks like, maybe set him off.
Yeah, pretty much set him off, and then he had to collect it and not hit the wall and not hit any other drivers, and he did a great job of braking there right before the corner to make sure that he's not gonna run wide at all, almost coming to a halt. But great save from Cochrane, and that allows him to keep going in 21st place, as the battle for 7th place is brewing hotter and hotter between Tremblay and Cristelli.
Cristelli still putting the pressure on. We're up on the rear bumper of Jean-Marc, looking at David Cristelli, Ted Lowendick as well. And you're going to see flashes of him. Yeah, that's him right there in the BMW, giving watch, seeing if maybe he could try and put himself in for a 2-for-1 deal. Come up to 12 and 13. A little bit off for Cristelli compared to Tremblay's line. Both of them nice and tidy through 13, and now they head back to the start-finish line one more time. 33 minutes left to go. We should see the pit window opening pretty soon.
We should, but we shouldn't also see too many drivers taking the opportunity just yet. Just those who have clattered the wall will have the chance. Cristelli almost did that right there. He almost did a Corvette there. He went over the bump very sideways, but managed to collect it and managed to bring it back to track, and is still gonna be attacking Tremblay here. Tremblay is doing a great job of just keeping his car really where he needs to keep it. He's not doing any over-eager defensive moves. He hasn't gone to the Max Verstappen, Romain Grosjean school of driving here. No, he's just staying on his line and letting Cristelli do all the work. And Cristelli is like gonna be a little bit frustrated because he knows he can go about a second faster per lap, I reckon. Well, not quite a second, but at least half a second faster, because Cristelli, he looks like he has good pace at this moment, but he just cannot find a way through.
Down into 7, and nothing doing there once again. So while Cristelli may have avoided the wall, Aaron Law did not. He did almost an exact carbon copy, except for the fact when he swung back across to catch the car, he slapped the concrete to the left side. So got some damage. He's still continuing on, but it was a decent hit. This is where we want to keep our view as we now hop on board. This is with Ted Lowendick at the back of the train.
Not the helmet again. I was looking at the view, and the first thing that struck my mind is that helmet of Ted Lowendick, and it's we love you to bits, Ted, but that's not the most beautiful design I've ever seen. He is, however, catching up to the battle. You were right. So he's catching up to Cristelli, who can't get past Tremblay, and suddenly, as with so many battles before, Cristelli is gonna find his way in the middle of the sandwich, as a meat of the sandwich, rather than being the sole attacker, and he's actually not sending it down the inside here, and I'm a little bit surprised.
Neither is Lowendick. Considering it was a little bit of early braking from Cristelli, I thought he would open himself up to attack. See, I think it's sort of the scarecrow method that he's trying with that helmet. He figures anybody who looks in their mirror and sees that, they'll be shaken offline. So
they're gonna be afraid of the judgment that's gonna come from the commentary squad if they make an unnecessary move. But this is very close now, heading to the back straight. Lowendick's getting a great run of Cristelli, who's getting a bit of draft from Tremblay, and Lowendick's looking to the inside here, but I don't think he's gonna commit to it now.
Yeah, it looked good at first, and these are all 3 even cars because they're all BMWs. Granted, they could potentially be set up a little bit differently from one another, but no one really has any sort of advantage in terms of how the handling differs based on top speed and cornering and whatnot. It's all the same car. It's spec here, essentially, in iRacing, just with 2 different make of vehicles. They come through 12 and 13 one more time. I always thought those corners were sort of the ones that would snatch you up if you get a little bit too confident. They're not as famous around this circuit, but I feel like they're probably one of the more dangerous ones.
Yeah, they are, but they're also at the end of the lap, and at that point, you're just happy that you survived. I always found, I don't know, I always found the tight ones the most difficult ones around here. And the middle sector, when you go around the fountain, the tight sector, that's been always the most difficult one for me. 1 and 2 is just pure joy, and few of the more enjoyable parts. Then you get into 3, 90-degree corner, 90-degree corner, 90-degree corner. You're just turning corners here pretty much. You feel like you're at Albert Park in Melbourne when you come through this sector, and then the tight sector, that's always been the most difficult one, but that's a personal thing. And I must say that the most laps I've done on this track is, with the Nissan, which is quite a different beast on GT4.
That's one of the unfortunate things about American street courses is there are usually a lot of 90-degree turns. Meanwhile, let's head to 5th place because Genet has Byron Daly right underneath his rear wing and really filling up his mirrors. Right now, the gap is 0.2 of a second. That came down within half a lap where it was nearly 0.5 of a second before, and now it's going back to that with bad wheel spin coming out of the fountain section for Byron Daly.
Is it just me, or has the BMW grown about 25% since last week? Because it's so huge behind that Porsche. Just look at this. Poor Arnaud Genet is just trying to run away the best as he can, and he's being chased by the beast.
I mean, I think that's just part of BMW's design philosophy. Make the car look about always 20% bigger than it did before.
Yes.
And, oh, Ted Lowendick is in.
Oh, so he's pitting early, and I think that could be a genius call from Ted because it's not the fastest strategy on pure raw pace. Aaron Law comes in as well, but yeah, that's not the fastest one on pure raw pace, but it is. He gets clear of that battle and he gets into clear air as well, and that's a genius call from Ted Lowendick, and
he might not get in clear air
from Stacey Kyle Dunnigan. As he comes side by side, and maybe Dunnigan made that call and said, look, you're gonna come potentially into clear air, safe from among none, and you need to really take this chance.
He's gonna have to try and clear it Mignon this time, and I think he's gonna get it down into 3. He had the desirable inside line, and he's gonna cover him off down into 4 as well. Job done for Ted Lowendick, at least halfway. Now he's got to put his foot down and try to put some fast laps in with this clear air in front of him. Did he clatter the wall there?
Yeah, hard.
Oh, right after the pit stop, too. They have a spare car, remember? So if they do get damage, let's see it one more time, get a better angle. We'll hear it here on board. Despite his Lucky Charm helmet, let's listen. Oh, yep, we don't even need to listen. You can see there the car just jolting to the left.
Yeah, so the problem with his Lucky Charm helmet is that he's gonna also drive like a commentator as a result. And finding out why we are at the commentary booth and not racing out there. No, enough about us. Nobody cares about us. Let's focus on racing. So Ted Lowendick's here, like trying to catch up and trying to find his consistency, find his pace after that pit stop. Meanwhile, on the lead, James David has pulled up a 3.5 second advantage over Morales, over Palacio, over Day, and everybody else.
I still say that Diego is just kind of managing things here and making sure he brings the car home with that gap up to David. And also Palacio keeping quite a bit of pressure on there with only 7/10 still between them. Just doesn't seem like Diego is trying to hustle. At least it doesn't appear so. It's hard to say from the outside. He'll know better as we look at them once again. That is Diego in the green and black machine, and the orange, black, and white BMW. That is Julio Palacio. By the way, just a small note. I will have you know that my crew chief thinks I am the safest pair of hands on our endurance team. Thank you very much.
How bad is your endurance team?
Depends on who we have each race.
Well, that says enough.
So as they come around to complete another lap, we're actually getting close to halfway already. This race is going by very fast, probably faster than what James David really wants, considering he's still not in a position to be able to take the championship away from Diego Morales. And every race counts in this series. It is so important to have good finishes. James David, who missed the first round, then had 2 bad races in round 8 and round 9, and that took him out of the points lead very quickly. We got an accident in the fountain section. Cochran and Hotham giving some apologies over the radio. I'm not sure what happened here.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and find if I can
it was Cochran.
look at it. So yeah, here we're gonna see a replay here, and it's gonna be actually Cochran and Bellavon coming together, with Cochran gonna be sending up to sit up to the inside here, coming to the section, and I don't think Bellavons is gonna see him at all. So they come together, and then clattering into him is poor Brian Matthews, I think it was.
Yeah, we saw Matthews coming in late there.
Yeah, it was Hodam who was clattering.
Yes, thank you, sorry.
No, I said it wrong first.
And unfortunately for Ballavance, that means he needs to come in and probably take his spare car. As, woo! Big moment there coming off of turn 2 for John Cochran. Hotham as well falling off as Aaron Law going to try and sneak through down to the inside, and he's going to get both of them. Will he? Late onto the brakes. He manages to make the apex and the exit cleanly, so the 33 taking advantage of the problems in front of him.
Yeah, and Aaron Law has already been to the pit lane. He came into in the same lap as Ted Lowendick did. So that means he's getting clear traffic once again, or clearing the traffic, and gonna get back towards where he started from. Aaron Law, of course, starting this race in 16th and is currently down in 19th, but that's probably gonna change once the pit stop cycle gets going properly. And Dave Cristelli, he's had a problem.
Yeah, in fact, he is out of the session already, it looks like, or at least out of his car. Checking to see if I can find out what happened to him as we take a look at the battle for 5th position. I think Cristelli had internet connection issues because he looks like he just disappeared on my screen, but very much not disappeared. As we take a look at this battle is Byron Daly absolutely filling our camera, and Gené's going to go defensive down into turn 7, covering off the middle of the track, just making sure that Daly doesn't have a chance to snooker him.
Yeah, and Daly is going to be all over the back of him like a rash, and he's going to be watching Gené's every single move. I wonder if it's going to come down to the pit stops, or if he's going to try to make a move before that. But I think Daly's having a little bit better of a line. Gené's getting some good exits out of the crucial corners, however. And that is such an important and underrated skill. Not only is it important to get good speed and know where you have to be fast, but getting consistently good exits from the important corners, which are gonna lead to the straights that lead to overtaking opportunities. It's so important. You gotta know which corners to practice. You gotta get your car set up just right and make sure that the guy behind, even if you're slower than somebody else, they can't get the overtaking opportunity.
Just a little bit too far back for that opportunity here as well, into 3, as Mark File also comes into pit lane himself. Setting sun, unfortunately being both metaphorical and literal for him today, with the yellow and orange hues of Detroit being lit up with the sounds as well of GT4 machinery. Boy, this is getting close as they come out of the technical 4, 5, 6 section. A little bit of wheel spin from Gené. That could wind up being critical. Daly is close. He'll get a little bit of slipstream, but it's not a very long straight. Once again, Gené trying to keep him off to the left side of the track. Tries to outbrake him, and I think in front of them, I think that was Cochran, yeah, that had a mistake.
And once again, he's being very slow here. He needs to get out of the way, and he does, thankfully. Great job by John recognizing the situation and recognizing the battle.
So that's the first of our lap traffic, making sure that he doesn't cause any issues. Our leaders stay out for one more lap. Should be about 15 minutes is typically roughly where the pit window starts to end. These two come up to that pit entry. Gené stays out, and so does Daly. So Daly's not going to try and go for the undercut. He's going to stick with it.
this is the battle once again between 5 and 6. We have been watching Genet and Daly for quite a while, and there's a good reason because they're very close to each other for a good points paying position. And not only that, but Genet and Daly are quite close points wise, if I remember correctly as well. Yep, Daly's in 4th and Genet's in 5th place, so there you go. 18 points separating those two drivers, but Genet still gonna be enjoying at least hopefully one victory over Baron Daly. And Baron Daly, he's been the guy who throughout this season has consistently started, or at least in later races, started from close to the back of the field and climbing up near the front. And once again, well, this time he started 7th and has climbed only 1 place.
Very, very defensive once again. And we got another car lap down. Vance trying to get out of the way, but maybe did that check up Genet a little bit, side by side, as Daly's got the overlap, and he's going to keep putting the pressure on. Going the long way around, it'll give him the inside into turn 11, and he can't keep with it. It was a brave effort. It didn't pay off yet, but some important information gained by the number 6 car.
Yeah, and I don't think the lap car had anything to do with Genet. He just outbraked himself and missed the apex on the inside line. So easy to do, especially with that inside line gonna be full of marbles and rubber at this point. Marbles more than rubber actually. So gonna be little pieces of rubber, gonna be very difficult to brake there. And he missed his braking spot by just a little. Daly not gonna be able to pull it off, but he showed his nose and he showed his intent as well. And that's important as we move on to the later portions of this event.
Well, I hope your desk is some form of wood here because I might regret saying this, but we haven't had a whole lot of DNFs today. None is gone, and Cristelli actually had a disconnect, so it wasn't even the track that took him out. Otherwise, 21 drivers are still running.
Yeah, and it's unusual for Detroit, but everybody's done their homework, it seems. They know it's a difficult track, and they know they gotta take it consistently, and you know, consistency and staying out of the walls is the key here as per usual on street circuit. Now Daly's got a great run heading onto the back straight here. Oh, switch back green. That's nice.
Sold him a dummy, and he's going to be able to get the inside that he's been looking for. Both of them breaking incredibly deep, but Daly still can't get it done. And Genet is tenaciously holding on to this top 5 spot.
But the problem with the back straight is that even though it's very wide and you can get up to the inside, the next corner you have the curbs on the inside and it's surprisingly narrow. And it's so difficult to find the line, you know, where you're gonna turn into the corner. And if you turn in too early, or if you get forced too far to the inside as Daly was there, then you just have no room to turn. You're gonna run up into those high curbs and you're gonna lose all that momentum you built up and there's no chance to overtake. So great heads up driving from Daly to sell the dummy, but also great heads up by Genet realizing the situation and saying, look, I don't have to actually give him any room. I'm just going straight and I'm gonna hit the apex.
It's really been our closest fight for quite a while. One of our other front runners, Brett Barrett, is in. In the meantime, what happened with Day and Palacio? Was there a mistake?
I'm gonna look at it.
I'm checking myself. I'm not really seeing anything. I think it just looks like Day has just run him down.
Yeah, I mean, Palacio's been losing a little bit of time consistently, and Day's just been running him down, and Day's been quietly going quite fast in this race. He's had one of his better races in recent memory in 4th place, and he's only helped him down on the the treasured 3rd place of Julio Palacio. So is he gonna be relegating Palacio outside of the podium? Palacio's gonna be like, no, this is my turf. This is what belongs to me, and Day's gonna be like, you know, you had enough of those medals, why didn't you spare me one? And I think they're gonna have a little bit of a conversation at 150 miles an hour about that.
Barrett did come back out, and behind Lowendick, I'm trying to remember, was Barrett one of those that was battling with him before he pitted? Let's keep the cameras here on this fight on screen, since this is the best one we've got right now. Like information we're getting is he was not close to him before this stops. Raymond Day forcing Palacio to be a little bit off the racing line down into turn 3. This is great for Diego Morales. who finally gets a little bit of space to relax up in front of them. You can see him in the green Porsche, just starting to extend that open air between himself and Palacio.
Relax as much as you can relax at Detroit street circuit. I mean, relaxing at street circuit is, well, racing in general, it's gonna be a little bit of an subjective term, you know, it's, you gotta put it into perspective, but I agree that he has his own space and he can just drive his own race and he knows that he's in a position where he needs to be to win the championship and clinch it, and it's been a very mature drive for Diego Morales so far because he probably knows that with some more practice and with some more pace, taking a couple of more opportunities and just trying to go a little bit faster is the way that he could have challenged David for this race win. But then again, why would he? I mean, it's a race win, yes, but the championship is obviously more important to Morales right now, and he's been driving very well as they both come into the pits, Palacio and Day.
Interesting. Top two do not. These two do. Are we going to get anybody behind them? Gené's a long way back. The next car behind in 5th position. Remember, we were following the battle between himself and Daly. Gené will come in. Daly will not. Ooh. Difference in strategy between those two. This is Daly's chance to try and get by without having to make that overtake on track. What about Palacio and Day? They're going to exit the stops right about at the same time, and Day was not able to overtake.
No, not at all. Losing a bit of time exiting the pit lane as well. Didn't have quite the launch on him, and they have Tremblay now ahead of him as well as Daly, but those guys are going to be out of the way in short order, I think, as the pit stop cycle gets going. Now, of course, with the pit stop cycle going on, if you do want to follow the lap times of your favorite driver and how this cycle is developing and the pit stop times in general as well, you can head over to GSRC.tv for our live timing and scoring.
Certainly is helpful, especially in a field that is still 21 cars strong and 13 minutes left to go. Hopefully we'll be able to cover a few more because we've been, of course, giving a lot of action, or seeing a lot of action rather, to just a couple battles here at the top. This is James David, who is now in for his stop. Will he be followed by Morales? Yes, Morales ducks in. Last two will be Daly and Tremblay. I anticipate that they will likely pit, since going beyond this should be pretty far, honestly. You'd be saving some incredible fuel.
Yeah, or just regular racing fuel that you'll be saving. But yeah, I know what you mean. And Daly's gonna come in into the pit as well, a little bit early on the brakes. And Tremblay, he's gonna come in as well. So everybody's pitting, and I'm paying half an eye of attention to Tremblay and where he's gonna come out in relation to Ted Lowendick, who pitted early on, and that's been one of the storylines that I've been quietly watching. He's Lowendick's only 5 seconds behind Gené.
All right, that's Daly heading back out. Tremblay into his stall. Tremblay is the last one, and that'll give us the position order. David leads Morales by 7 seconds now. Morales ahead of Palacio by 1.3. He extends it a little bit away from Julio. And Day still stuck back there in 4th. Then it is a huge gap back to the last of the top 5. Byron Daly, almost 15 seconds behind our lead group.
He is so, you know, it's been top 3 and everybody else, as it's been many times in this series in the past, but that just goes to show you the level of racing at the top of the field. And I find that happens often with many series where you have, because of the skill pyramid, the skill triangle, of course, the higher skill you get, the fewer drivers are at that skill level. So with many series, you have only a couple of drivers right at the front, and then you're gonna see the difference between a good driver and a great driver when you look from David Morales and Palacio to everybody else pretty much in this series. And by the way, an answer, as we see on the screen, Ted Lowendick is a couple of seconds behind Tremblay, 1 second as a matter of fact behind Tremblay, but trying to at least run him down. So that's going to be something we'll keep half an eye on during the course of these final 10 minutes.
Probably really wants that spot. Again, last race of the season, so last chance to try and get as many points as possible or just boost your ego a little and end on a high. Tremblay going to cross with 10 minutes left to go. Looks like Lowendick has got some work to do because the gap between them about 1.3 seconds currently.
Yeah, and we're looking at the leader as well, James David, coming across another victory here, or trying to get another victory. It's not gonna be enough for the championship at this rate, Joe, but it's been a great race for James David. And when you talk about ego, when you talk about confidence, I think James David right now, he needs a bit of a confidence boost heading on to the next season to know that he is still the best and he can still be the champion in this series. And, you know, something to motivate him to come back as well.
Certainly would, as we continue to see what David can do. Behind him, Morales has been catching a little bit of traffic. Gary Schilling letting him by. In fact, it's traffic with multiple cars. Looks like Hotham also in there. Palacio's being held up by that. In fact, there you can see that is Schilling, who pulled off to the side to let them through. And then Brian Hotham now doing the same as Raymond Day tries to navigate. He gets one, he gets two, but he certainly had to take an awkward line into the S's.
Yeah, Palacio lost out most in that, and it was interesting between Schilling and Hodem because they were like, Hodem got by Schilling briefly, and then Hodem had to break out of the line to let the leaders pass, and then Schilling passed him once more. So there were two races going on between the leading group of guys and then the back markers that are one lap down getting lapped, but still having their own race. And sometimes when you get back markers racing side by side right in front of you and you're coming in as one of the leaders, needing to squeeze in every tenth of a second and losing potentially multiple seconds, when they go side by side, it kind of feels like you're at that, you know, when you are at a single carriageway on a long drive on Route 67 or 68 or something, whichever you got, and then you get the overtaking lane, which is 1 mile long, and then you get the two 18 wheels right in front of you going side by side with one overtaking the other doing what, 70 miles an hour and the other doing 71.
It can be frustrating. Thankfully it wound up better than maybe it could have gone if things had wound up sour as we come back to that portion of the circuit now. Route 12 and 13, Raymond Day behind Palacio. Bad exit out of 13. Palacio now seeing Day start to close in on him, but it's not a whole lot of breaking down into turn one. They both chuck it in there. Is Day going to try and square off the exit? He's looking for it, but I don't think he's close enough.
No, not so. He's gonna have to bide his time and wait for another opportunity to pop up from somewhere. But it's great battling between those guys. Palacios having the advantage in terms of straight line speed as far as the car goes, at least. But Day is applying pressure constantly, and you have to remember how great that Porsche is under braking. So that's gonna be definitely an ace up the sleeve of Raymond Day, maybe even Day too.
So now down to 6.5 minutes left. Day's really our closest fight out on track, other than well, no, you know, I say that, and Teddy has caught up to Jean-Marc Tremblay. Right on board, bring it onto the Riverside stretch. Just not the exit he needed. Looks like Jean-Marc put a little bit of a buffer between himself and the 172.
A lot of great duos as well at this point in the race. You have the battle between Palacio and Day, and then you have the battle between Daly and Genet, and then you have the battle between Tremblay and Londick. All those different battles going on at different portions of the track, but they're each and every one is a battle duo pretty much at this point. And all those duos are gonna be fighting for those positions until the end, I feel like. I hope so at least. and the guys behind in those battles who are going to be Day and Janae and Lowendick are just going to be looking for opportunities to get past, while the guys in front of them are going to be like, well, I hope I can defend for 5.5 more minutes here.
Gotta go right back to Palacio and Day once again. Gonna have to have eyes in the back of our head. I can tell you that Daly and Janae also looking relatively close, but Janae doesn't have a go at it for now, so let's keep the cameras here down into the backstretch. As they get a good run, but more so Palacio than Day. Gets it out to half a second. Raymond just unfortunately running out of time, especially considering he can see Diego Morales up in second place. He knows that an even better podium finish could be there if he could stretch through, should step through the door on Julio Palacio. Let's see, where is our leader? He's coming around 12 and 13. 4.5 minutes left to go. So 3 laps left here for our drivers.
Yeah, it's not too many laps, but then again, the later you get, the more desperate you're gonna get in terms of overtake. Chene's really close now. He's gonna look alongside Daly, maybe into the penultimate corner, not quite, but he's getting closer and closer once again. So this battle for 5th place, heating up into the last corner, comes both of those guys, Daly and Janae, and onto the main straight. And once again, Janae's gonna be a little bit behind, but he's been getting close. He's been inching ever closer these last couple of laps, and he needs to nail this exit from here. Let's see if he can do so. Turning left into the Corvette spin corner, gonna get over the hump, and oh, this is a great chance shot.
It's as closest he's been on the run down towards the statue. He's going to get fended off as Byron Daly forces him the long way around, deep onto the brakes. Janae seems to feel confident. I don't think confident enough. They're going to stay side by side as they come up to 4, but it's a right-hander, and Byron Daly easily manages to shut the door fully this time.
Yeah, great defense from Daly there. Janae tried to go for a little bit of crossover, but that final bit where Daly just absolutely committed to that corner is what made the difference. Janae was forced to the outside on turn number 3 and tried to make it work from there, but not quite pulling it off. However, the battle flag has been waved and the horn has been sounded, and Palacio, meanwhile, is under attack from Daly.
It's been the case for a number of laps now. As they go by the sunset, down to head into what I believe is the penultimate lap now. Across the line, the gap between them, mere 0.3 of a second. Day was good last time. Can he do it again? He's trying to launch off the corner. He's right up to the wall and he brushes it.
Wow. Just painting it a little bit, maybe happy little trees into that wall, but not causing any serious damage, thankfully. Getting right up close to the limit, and this is why I love street circuit racing show, because you can do that. You can dance with disaster, and when you get away with it, it's just, you're living on the edge, and that's the greatest feeling ever, when you just brush the wall without tagging it, without hitting it, without cluttering it.
Still looked like it slowed him up a little bit, at least down heading towards turn 3. Lost a tiny little bit of gap, so some of that momentum may be going away.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Janae is getting closer and closer to Daly once again, and they're gonna come up to traffic this time around. Janae taking a little bit of a tighter line to the back straight. Is that gonna work out for him? That's gonna be the question, but they're catching up to Schilling, and they're also gonna catch Hotham on the last lap, I think. So that's gonna play a little bit of a part in this battle for P number 5.
Getting the white flag for James David in the number 89 car. It's going to feel like winning the battle but losing the war for him if he stays where he is. It's actually almost up to 11 seconds back to Diego Morales, who has run a measured race to clinch the championship, even though it's going to be a second place finish. Battle behind him, Day and Palacio. That is getting extremely, extremely tight. They're coming off of turn 2 one more time. I don't think Day's quite there, though.
No, I don't think he is unless he absolutely sends it up to the inside, and he doesn't, because why would he? That would just be a crash. So behind them, however, Genet is getting very close on the exit. He's getting very close on the exit. Is this gonna be a repeat of the time before? Is Daly gonna be able to hold him off? Genet is gonna draft him, and once again looking to the outside.
It's pretty similar. And he once again is good on the brakes, but this time he doesn't hold the overlap. Could he maybe switch under and sneak attack? Nope, he decides not to.
Oh. That's a mistake. That's a mistake from him, and Genet's gonna look to the inside, and they're crashing, and Genet's around. Wow, and Daly's into the wall as well, but Daly's gonna win out on that one, but Genet's wrecked and on the wall. And thankfully, I don't think he's gonna lose actually any positions apart from those from Tremblay and Lowe.
Yeah, he'll slot in 8th, but I don't blame him for the move, that's for sure. And I can't blame David if he feels a little bittersweet with this victory, because he'll take the win in Detroit, but it's not the championship he wins. Behind him, Diego Morales, clinching 2nd place, also clinches his first championship in the GT4 Clubsport Series.
And Raymond Day coming home in P number 3 after passing on the penultimate corner. Palacio made a mistake, Raymond Day getting through, and behind them there's battles going on all over. Tremblay and Lowendick are going to be pretty close on the last couple of corners as well. I think Tremblay is going to win out on that one unless Lowendick finds something truly special on the last couple of corners. No, he only finds a wall, and as a result of that, Tremblay is going to finish just ahead of him, and they both are going to finish ahead of Genet, who is very slow on the final straight with a wrecked up car. And I think we should pick up, after those guys, we should pick up number 77 of the track as well, because it's his sunset as well.
You're right, that's a good point. Mark File, who is coming around just behind Margula. He is in the black and green. There you see him on screen, and now we ride on board as he's going to cross the line and wave goodbye just for now. He could yet come back. The 77 saying goodnight to his duties as an organizer here for the PRL GT4 Clubsport Series. Let's take a look at how that pass happened, though. Exactly what happened.
Yeah, so you're gonna see Day on the outside, and then I think it was just a case of Palacio outbreaking himself. Yeah, and Day's gonna get past here on the inside, saying thank you very much, and riding off onto the main straight. So that's the last place you can lose it in, and he lost it in there. You have to feel for Julio Palacio.
But at the same time, he set that up perfect and snatched the spot. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around, because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. back to Detroit. The Belle Isle circuit definitely put on a good show and definitely put some drivers under pressure, which is to be expected. James David wasn't really under pressure, except for that he needed to win this race and get bonus points to try and take the championship essentially. And well, it still didn't pan out for him, but he's got to be happy that he ended on a high note over our new champion, Diego Morales, finishing in second place ahead of our final podium finisher, Raymond Day, taking it on the final lap. Julio Palacio with a P4 was followed by Byron Daly in fifth and Jean-Marc Tremblay in the sixth position. Ted Lowendick wound up seventh after all was said and done in an alternate strategy for him, while Arnaud Genet, last week's winner, didn't have as good of a finish. A late race pass unfortunately went sour, and he finished eighth. Brett Barrett was P9, and Kenny Rodriguez rounds out your top 10.
11th place for Piotr Margula, ahead of Mark File in his last event here. Chris Richards gonna finish 13th after starting 18th place, and last on the lead lap is gonna be Philippe Magnan. Aaron Lay 15th with Spencer Semkovic 16th, Brian Hodham 17th, Gary Schilling 18th, Matthew Belavan 19th, and Sean Cochran rounding out the top 20 with Brian Matthews, the last car to cross the finishing line. David Cristelli and James Nunn classified as D and F, unfortunately, while Glenn Bowen did not start this race.
Well, again, not as attrition filled as we anticipated. But let's talk to our winner first here today, James David, who unfortunately did not take the championship in the end, despite taking a win. I have to imagine it's got to be a bit of mixed feelings, is it not?
Yeah, hi Joe. Yeah, it's mixed feeling, but I think I am the only responsible for a couple of mistakes I've made in the last race. So I'll credit to Diego that made an amazing season. I want to take time to talk about the new champion. The start of this season, he was like a little shaky. He has trouble keeping a good pace in the race. He raised his racing skill each race. So it's very good. I'm pretty happy for the championship. I don't know if you remember what Watkins Glen I told you I don't want an easy championship. So I'm pretty happy with this championship. I cannot ask better than that to have at least a driver that was battling all season long.
Certainly did. And it was fascinating to watch you two back and forth with those victories in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
The nice thing about sim racing is that while in the real world, usually we have to wait quite a while to get a season going once again. For us, it's just a couple weeks. So will you be back to try and compete in season 4?
Yeah, I'll be back in the GT3. I think the poll has been made. I think it's GT3, so I'll be there for sure. I hope there'll be drivers like Diego and others that were there last season. Yeah, I'll be there, and I hope you'll be streaming us again. And yeah, I'll be there.
Well, we'll look out for you. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for both the season and a victory?
Yeah, I want to thank you first, guys, for being there each week to stream us and the sponsor. I want to thanks my team, and that's it. I see you guys on the next season.
Oh, we look forward to that a lot. James David taking the win and a very gracious loser, I guess you could say, today in his championship loss, but still winning on the track. Behind him, it was third place for Raymond Day with a very late move, and Ozzy is going to talk to him about that.
Yeah, Raymond, it was a great race for you. You've been outside of the podium for most of this season, but now in this final event here at Detroit, you started fourth, you were sitting in fourth place most of the race, and then on the final lap, you pulled the ace out from your sleeve and got past Julio Palacio. How does that feel?
Yeah, that was well earned, and I was on Julio, staying with him the whole race, and he was making a few minor mistakes, hitting the wall here or there. So I kind of felt like he had a little pressure on him. And in the last 3 or 4 laps, I really put the pedal to the metal and stayed within, a few tenths here or there, and he made a slight mistake, and I was able to capitalize on it and get on the podium for once this season. So feel good about it.
Be a real confidence boost for you and the whole NinjaTrader team as well, Raymond.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we started off pretty good. I mean, I got some pretty good qualifying positions throughout the season, and then I got tapped a couple of times from behind, which put me, towards the back of the pack, and I missed 2 races due to vacation. So I think we could have done better. Had the stars lined up a little bit, but I'm hoping to add another person to the team next season, and that way, if one of us is not there, the odds of 2 people finishing the race and keeping up in the points is much higher, right?
I'm available. No, just kidding. I'm gonna be staying here. So, Raymond, speaking of next season, what are your targets for next season?
I think I've got pretty decent pace most of the time. I think if I can keep the races clean, I'd like to see myself in the top 5. It's definitely I've got the pace to do it. So that would be a good target. Top 3 would be great.
Raymond, and congratulations for the podium finish. And if you would like to thank anyone, then feel free to do so.
Appreciate that. Want to thank GSRC, you guys all for broadcasting. So it was very entertaining to watch, especially after the race. I always go and watch the replay, so that's fun. Thanks for you guys. Thanks to Jerome's team over at PRL. And then I also want to thank all the people who raced and everybody who put the NinjaTrader logo on their car. Really appreciate that. Look forward to another good season in a few weeks.
Thank you very much, Raymond. We'll be looking forward to it too. And next up on our final interview of the day, it's going to be Joe Peak talking to a man who finished second place at Detroit, but finished number 1 in the championship standings, Joe.
Yep, and that would be Diego Morales, who we have with us now. And Diego, it was a long championship. At times it looked like maybe you wouldn't be able to do it, but you are now, by our math, the champion, which thankfully easy math this time. Tell us how you feel.
Yeah, I feel really, really good now. This track is so intense. So a lot of times I almost lost there, but I tried to have a clean race, a safe race, and it paid out at the end. So really, really happy with the championship.
That was something I was wondering up in the booth the whole time. How hard were you actually pushing? Was this a case of knowing you had that second place, or even just anything, honestly, within the top 10, you kind of just relaxed and let what happened happen?
Yeah, it was. I was not like pushing 100%, but I was not like 50%. It was like quite hard to get a decent pace now. On the officials, I was really better, but I don't know what happened. Probably like some setup or some temperature changes. It was really hard to keep the pace good in that race.
So obviously, David has come back to defend his title and wasn't able to successfully. He says he's going to come back, try and reclaim it once again. What about you? The crown is usually heavy. Do you want to try and fight to hold on to it for next season?
Yeah, definitely. I wanna try now that I got this one. I don't know how it's gonna be. Probably like the GT3 cars will be like all new, so I need to practice a little bit. But definitely want to try my best on the next championship.
Well, we are definitely excited to see you two face off again, considering it was pretty close all season long. It just, as David said, a couple mistakes that seemed to put him on the back foot right at the end. So congratulations. Thank whoever you'd like to thank for what is a beautifully run season and a nice podium today.
Yeah, thank you very much for all the league organizers, PRL, GSRC, you guys to do an amazing job streaming us. So thank you very much. And I would like to thank the guys from iRacing. They're amazing, always supporting me. My family that's always watching. It's been quite fun, intense at some moments, ups and downs, but I think that's the end was everything the way you wanted. So thank you very much, everyone.
I would say very happy. Diego Morales in his number 22 Porsche taking a podium and a championship here today at Detroit. And that's going to close out things here for our broadcast. Again, like you said, we will be back for another season, but we want to thank a few people, starting off with the sponsors for this season. Of course, as we mentioned before, NinjaTrader. If you want to find them, they can be located at NinjaTrader.com. And then there's SimRacing Canada. If you would like to check out what sort of rigs they've got for you, go to SimRacingCanada.com. And if you want to fancy up that rig, don't forget to check out ButtKicker. Their website is thebuttkicker.com. Our website is linked below in the description, where if you're looking to take advantage of GSRC's over 1 million global monthly impressions, from official series sponsorships to commercial placements, we've got advertising options, and they are customizable to suit your company's needs. Just scroll on down and click that and head directly over to our advertising page to find out more. Thank you goes out to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Ozzy, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Our social media is at GSR Channel for Twitter, Facebook, Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Gram. If you'd like to support us beyond just watching and maybe sport some cool gear, we've got a merchandise store. It's just gsrc.storenvy.com. If you don't want to type it in, we got another link down there in the description for the video. Now, as we mentioned, we should be back soon, but it'll again be on Monday, September 21st. We will return. Don't know the track quite yet, but it'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern. As always, we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen too, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.